I think we have to start at St. James Park, the place that Alan Shearer used to frequent as a young boy and then later as a footballer. All right, I'm going to come right up and give you my reading. So much criticism of Mikel Arteta after the Manchester City game.
Yeah.
He comes out and he says, I don't read the press. Somebody reads it for me and tells me. I'm surprised people say that, we weren't attacking enough because we dominated, we controlled the game, blah, blah, blah. And a lot of us were kind of like, yeah, you don't really believe that, do you? And I'm going to conclude that he did not really believe that because he made the changes and we saw an Arsenal that were, I thought, bang, bang.
Yeah.
Could have
easily
scored 3 goals in the first half, if not for Saint Nick Pope.
Yeah.
I just thought this was one of Arsenal's best performances in a long, long time.
Yeah, I agree. They were on the front foot in a place where it's difficult to go to, as we know, the intensity and the physicality of Newcastle, the atmosphere at St. James's Park. Until the goal from Voltemade against the run of play on a set piece where Gabriel is, I think, very naive and soft. But before that, it's all Arsenal playing quick forwards, keeping the ball really well, beating the press, just like cooling everything down. That was really good. And then after that, you're thinking, okay, now they're a goal down. Let's see the character.
Now, there was no Nani Madueke. Obviously, he was unavailable. It obviously helps to have Bukayo Saka. Maybe he's not at 100%, but even Bukayo Saka at 80% is still better than most people out there. A lot of the narrative is, oh, look, you put Eze in there, and that changes everything. Why didn't you do this sooner? That's a bit simplistic, yeah?
Yeah, it is. And Odegaard was not fit to start. He only came on late in the game to good effect as well. I thought he had a decent impact, like all the subs. We'll talk about that a bit later. And this is probably not even Eze's position, who is more used to play a little bit more on the left-hand side and that half space on the left more than a little bit more on the right like he did yesterday. Although he had freedom to go anywhere, he was a bit more central, certainly, and could dictate the play. After the first half hour, though, his influence on the game kind of decreased a little bit. And after that, it was a bit more difficult. In the second half, he lost a few balls. But he's such a good player on the ball, especially against a high-pressing team or high-intensity team as well, that your team will always benefit to have somebody like him in your team.
All right. Obviously, a number of incidents. Fair to say, Gabriel, for better and for worse, was at the center of this match. We're going to break them down further, but just to state the record here, you mentioned the incident with Voltemade. Immediately after the restart, it certainly looked to me like he could have even gotten himself sent off at that point.
It was a red. I thought a yellow could have been given, but I don't think it was a red.
But you never know with referees, yeah? You simply don't know. And you should not put yourself in that position if you're going to be a defensive leader like that. And then I want to give a little bit of praise to referees. And we'll get to the Gyökeres incident, which so angered Arteta. I really thought at that point, I'm like, oh my God, you're obviously so upset about this. You haven't seen the replay, whatever we think of the replay. And I lean more towards Arteta's side on the replay. But it looked to me like his head was going to explode and he was going to do something stupid. But the Elanga one, I thought this is good use. And we can like the rule, we cannot like the rule, but we have to be consistent. Elanga puts in a cross as Gabriel comes to tackle him. Gabriel's arm is way up in the air, but the ball strikes his arm after it strikes Elanga. This is what they've decided that the interpretation is going to be.
Yeah. And
they applied them. I'm not sure Jared saw it clearly.
It was too quick, I think.
It was way too quick. You don't expect him to. But this is what VAR is there for.
Perfect use.
And I think as long as they're consistent, that makes all the difference. On Newcastle's end, I can't help but feel that this team is undermanned. It's not just the Isak-shaped hole. Voltemade may be a cult hero. He scored the great header. Voldemort looks different, let's face it. But I think it's going to be hard for them to keep the level they were at last year.
Yeah. There's a lot of work to come. I mean, they've only won one game now in 6 league matches. They were not very good on Sunday, let's be honest. I know it's a matter of minutes for them to win the game or even draw the game, but they were not good at home.
All right, we'll get to Gyökeres in a second, but I got to go back to Gabriel Voltemade on this. I think sometimes decisions in football and situations in football are complicated, and you can read them every which way. For me, there is no question whatsoever that Voltemade reaches out with two hands, pushes Gabriel, and that gives him an advantage in heading the ball. So you can say the goal should be disallowed. Equally, I think if Gabriel doesn't throw himself to the ground so theatrically, because there's no question he could have stood up, right? If he didn't throw himself to the ground, he just gets pushed and Voltemade still gets the header off. This is one of those situations where we either, have sort of forensic VAR intervention on every push and pull in the box, or we don't. I think it's a lose-lose situation.
Yeah, I mean, I think they probably have checked this very quickly, and they didn't need much time to check anyway because it was too soft. There was not enough there, I think, to cancel the goal. I'm not really sure exactly what Gabriel is doing. If you just think that referees are giving that all the time now in this kind of position, so he goes for it, because really he's in a good position unless he knows he's going to miss the ball and he misread the trajectory of the cross from Tonali, and he knows that already. So when he feels the push, he thinks this is my way out because I'm going to miss this. I'm going to miss the ball.
I wouldn't blame him so much because they mark zonally. It looks to me like Voltemade makes like a hooking run, and it looked to me like he's passing Voltemade off to somebody else to keep his position.
I think he's keeping the line. When he raises his arm, I know you saw how much of the day. I think he's keeping the line straight. There's no... I think that's his ball to clear. No one else's. This is his ball to clear. He knows Voltemade is behind him. He feels the push on him anyway. This is his ball to clear. And I think he knows he probably misses that ball. And then Voltemade has the header.
Because he doesn't have the right position on Voltemade. But he can't see where Voltemade is because
he misreads. No, but he feels him. He just pushed him.
No. But what I'm saying is...
he misreads the trajectory of the cross.
But Voltemade runs kind of behind him and then runs back towards him. At the moment in which he feels him, I mean, I suppose if he felt it was his cross to take, then he probably should have, forget Voltemade, he should have taken a step or two back in Voltemade's direction.
That's what I'm saying. He misreads the cross. So he misreads the trajectory of the ball. This is his ball to clear, 100%. I think he misreads it, and I think he probably thinks that little push might be a way out for me, and the ref will give a foul, and this is not a goal because he should clear that ball.
This business with with him and Voltemade, and afterwards you said maybe a yellow would have sufficed and stuff like that.
Yeah, it felt to me like a yellow.
It's not what you want to see if you're a coach.
Not. Do you remember Havertz and Rodri in the game at the Etihad between City and Arsenal maybe 2 years ago when it was really, really tense, straight from kickoff? That's the same that happened where you kind of block the runner to let the ball go for your player to kick it. It was a bit like that. It's inevitable at some point that it's risky. If you do that, if you try to block somebody by raising your hand like Gabriel does, and Voltemade is so tall that for somebody else it would be in the chest. For him, depending on where you aim, but it could be the neck, it could be the face, I think it's really risky.
On to the Pope Gyökeres one. Now, this is where I have a little bit of sympathy towards the people who don't like VAR. Because you're right. I did watch Match of the Day. And I did hear, and obviously they had the former City goalkeeper, Joe Hart, who gave an explanation. An extremely long, really long explanation.
Very brief.
And clearly, as you said,
PGMOL-esque.
Yes. So PGMOL, our friend Howard Webb, when there are decisions, for those who don't know, they go and they brief, which means it's not official. They can't be quoted, but they talk to broadcasters and say, this is why the referee made this decision.
Yeah. I had a call from Howard.
Well,
one day.
This is what bugs me a little bit. Why don't they just come out and say it? Well, the reason they don't just come out and say it is probably lawyers, my favorite people in the world. So they don't want the legal responsibility, but they go and they give you an explanation. And look, I get their point of view. I think it's right, so people know. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm going to try to explain this more briefly than Joe Hart did, right? So we see Gyökeres going through. We see Nick Pope run into him. When they looked at the replay, they saw that Pope got to the ball first. He doesn't get the ball first, but he does get to the ball with his foot.
Yeah.
I have to say, I watched the replay a lot of times. Yeah. It's not clear to me at all that this is actually what happened, but I trust them. They have better eyesight than I do, clearly. Yeah. Certainly not obvious either way. But the other thing is then you say, okay, fine, but just because you get to the ball doesn't mean you can't just go through somebody, even if it's a big boy like Gyökeres.
Yeah.
But apparently, as I discovered, unlike, say, Robert Sanchez the week before, Pope kind of plants himself and holds his position. Now, It's not that Pope is moving that fast because he's a big man and whatever else. He can only move so fast. But the whole action is very, very quick.
Yeah.
And I kind of have a problem with the fact that if somebody's sprinting in my direction and I just step into his way, that's not necessarily a foul. Like, I'm not setting a pick in basketball here.
Yeah.
That's not, it's a different sport.
Yeah.
It seemed like they were slightly grasping at things in the air.
Yeah, it felt a bit far-fetched to me.
And that's why Arteta was angry.
Yeah, and also because I think it was given. So again, to overturn the referee decision, and again, he goes really fast. He doesn't have the monitor. He can go and look at the replay and speak to his VAR people. I get that. But it was still given. And to overturn it, it has to be the famous...
clear and obvious?
Clear and obvious, which... Again, I don't think it is clear and obvious that it's a mistake from the referee to have awarded that penalty in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, look, I have a lot of time for Jared. I think he gets more stick than he should when he does. I think he is one of the better referees in the Premier League. I think this is very, very difficult, but equally, if the VAR tells him, like, Jared, there's a touch, and his foot is planted.
Yeah.
What's he going to do? Sit there forensically and, Yeah. But again, football's a complicated game. Like, there's 22 men, there's a round ball, it bounces every which way, stuff happens. I want to have a word on Leandro Trossard, because I remember he had a year left on his contract. I think he's extended it at this stage. I felt he kind of like got totally lost in the shuffle and was underappreciated, at least as far as the media, right? There's talk about, Martinelli's had a rough season. Can he get him back? And then here comes Madueke, an alternative to Martinelli. Here comes Eze. And I'm like, what about little Leandro? What's going to happen to him? And I think actually he gives you so much in terms of technical ability. He gives you so much in terms of game intelligence. He's just different from the other people that you have. And I'm happy that he started last couple of the games.
Yeah,
it's not going to continue, is it?
No. I think he will play. He will end the season with probably around 40 appearances. Maybe only half of that will be starting between all the competitions. but you need players like that in your squad to win trophies. It's just as simple as that. And you need people like Madueke, you need people like Merino, who again had a good cameo coming off the bench, in a kind of a hybrid position, a bit of a forward, a bit of a midfielder, that kind of thing. When Arsenal went to a back three, you need people like that. And they're maybe not the most gifted of your squads. They're not the most important. They're probably not the most expensive, even in wages. But they are very important. And really, this is what this team is doing as well. Arsenal have won 13 points out of 18, right? In the first 6 games of the season. Having played away at United, okay, it's only United, but still. Away at Liverpool, away at Newcastle, at home to Manchester City. While still trying to integrate new players. While still trying to change a little bit the way they play and suddenly bring variation.
Having Saka and Odegaard injured, which you haven't mentioned.
Injuries, absolutely.
Those are for me literally your two best players, along with Saliba, who also was injured. So let's put that into some kind of context.
And so it's a very good start of the season. And when you have people like Martinelli and Trossard and Merino who can also come off the bench and help, I think is brilliant.
All right, Merino's header. You played to a far higher level than I did, although I'm imagining, I could be totally wrong, heading was probably not your strong suit.
No, it wasn't. I was a crosser of the ball.
My guess is people made it seem, look, he places it perfectly. My impression is he directs it as best he can, but he can't know where the ball is heading because he's not looking that way. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
he has a general sense.
He knows where the goal is and where the ball is coming from, and he knows exactly that's probably where Nick Pope can't go. But it's a header, I think, that he can try another 9 times and doesn't score it.
Exactly.
But he's one of the best headers of the ball, like header player of the ball in Europe right now. He's outstanding. The timing, some of the technique, it's just excellent.
Actually, I'm curious if we were to rank Arsenal's headers of the ball. I'm going to put Kai Havertz as number 1 for obvious reasons, even though he's now injured and probably can't jump. But would you have him ahead of Gabriel or Gyökeres?
Yeah. I think Gabriel and Gyökeres, and to a certain extent, maybe Saliba, who's not as good in the air still, is like sheer power. I think with Merino and a little bit Julian Timber, they have the timing, and Merino has the size. He's a big boy, but still, it's the technique and the timing for me that is very different to Gabriel's skill set in terms of heading the ball. I think Merino is a much better header of the ball than Gabriel for that.
Ordinarily, people would look at this and say, pull out the old stat about how many goals Arsenal scored on corners and set pieces, and Nicholas, whatever his name is, the little guy.
My boy.
Okay. Now, if we give us, we have to take us away.
Yeah.
He's responsible for defensive set pieces too, right?
Yeah.
So that's on him. If we're going to give him credit for the two goals,
absolutely.
the Voltemade run and whatever happened, that's on him.
Yeah.
Now, somebody might look at this and be like, and sniff about Arsenal and set pieces. But for me, what was most encouraging here is, unlike the City game, forget the set pieces. They should have scored tons without the set pieces because they were moving the ball very effectively. City's midfield, which at times I thought was maybe one of the best in Europe last season, in Bruno, Tonali, and Joelinton. And I know there's been injuries and stuff. They're maybe not fully fit. They're nowhere near where they were.
Yeah,
they passed circles around them.
Yeah. I mean, it was difficult for Newcastle on Sunday for that midfield, which is the key for this team to do well and succeed. They could not really cope with the movement and the passing of Arsenal, Eze's positioning, Rice and Zubimendi's positioning. I was disappointed with Newcastle's performance overall, especially in the sense that, I mean, after the goal comes against the run of play, we said. But after that, they just go back to this like 4-5-1, sometimes even 5-4-1 formation. And I'm like, really? Is that you are home and you're winning 1-0 against a good Arsenal team who started the game in the best way, but still a team that you could probably go out a bit more. And yet, apart from the cross from Gordon to Voltemade at the start of the second half, you know that Voltemade doesn't read it properly and that just rolls in front of the goal. That's all they had. They just didn't create anything. They just stopped playing. And I found that really strange from them. And maybe they just can't. Maybe they're still learning to play with Voltemade. People are not maybe fully fair. Defensively, they've been really good until now, but creatively, they've struggled massively. And I think I expect more from Gordon. I was surprised he came off after an hour, for example.
Yeah, that's what surprised me a little bit because I get playing on the counter. And obviously, then they sent Alanga on and whatever because Gordon is a tremendous counterattacker, and you can see that either he goes through on goal or he wins a free kick, and then you've got Voltemade and you've got the big boys at the back come up. But yeah, I don't, again, unless he had a knock, I would not take Gordon off in a game.
He's been suspended for 3 games in the league as well. He hasn't played in the league. I know he played in the Champions League, but hasn't played in the league for 3 games. I don't know. And I know they've got Champions League coming, and this is going to be a problem for Newcastle as well. To play in the 2 competitions every 3 days is going to be tricky. But I was very disappointed by the performance.
Fun Voltemade fact, I believe now he has twice as many headed goals already this season than he managed all of last year at Stuttgart.
That's what I mean. They don't use him like they should so far.
Or could it mean that, or does it mean that actually the Premier League is less physical, less high quality than the Bundesliga and the defenders are like, no, just kidding, Premier League fanboys. Also, can I just leave you with this thought on Zubimendi? So many people are like, Zubimendi, yeah, okay, fine, he can pass, but he just passes the ball sideways and backwards all the time.
That's Robson. That's what Robson says.
What about the little, was it for Timber? The little dink over the top?
Magnificent.
More of this, please, Zubi, because you know what? I think it's actually, he looked around and he says, Odegaard's not here. Rice is not going to hit that ball. Rice brings many other good game and many other qualities to the table. I got to be making things happen. And I think that's another example where I think he took things on board. I don't think he can do that all the time, but he has that in his locker as an option, as another variance. For me, the curious thing is going to be when you have so many options, and this is going to be a theme that you're going to hear me go back to Arteta all season. When you have so many options to choose from, realistically 2 guys for every position, how do you decide what lineup to put, and how do you balance chemistry, which I think is really important, especially if you're trying to develop more of an attacking identity, which he's clearly trying to do, versus the need to keep everybody happy and everybody fit and give out minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's still a strong starting 11. To be fair, I think.
But that strong starting 11 does not include Eze.
No, I think it does.
Okay, so then it doesn't include who? Madueke?
Trossard, Madueke, yeah. Trossard, Madueke, I know in the
Trossard, Madueke, Martinez. So Eze is your right now you think if you had one game to save the universe.
Yeah, let's say they play the Champions League final tomorrow.
When they play the Demons and Cantona said au revoir.
Yeah.
And he's got to send out that 11?
Yeah, if they play the Champions League final tomorrow, I guess...
And everybody's fully fit, Eze's not... Eze's in.
Yeah, I think so, 100%.
And Luis Skelly?
No, Calafiori, I think he's very happy with Calafiori at left back and the way he works. And again, yesterday we saw a little bit more fluidity for somebody who's very much about the system and very much about the structure, which is great. And again, there's a big school of that amongst coaches right now. I think you see a little bit more fluidity, which comes with all these options that you mentioned, Gab, which is great, I think, to have. And again, Arteta was very efficient with his coaching, very efficient with his subs, which was the same against City. Even if some people think he got it wrong at the beginning, I don't think so, because nobody could have thought that City would park the bus like they did so early on. So then you can't change everything after 10 minutes. With hindsight now, it's easy to say he played with a handbrake. I don't agree with that. In this game, he set up because he knew what Newcastle would do. And after that, he had to change because the game went a different way, but he did. And again, this is huge, I think, the way they responded with his coaching, with their character. But I still think there's an idea there of what the strongest 11 is. And there's still a lot of work to do on it, because Eze still needs to find his place properly when Odegaard will play. But I think then they have the perfect depth in the squad to be able to change things around when they want, either before kickoff or during matches.
You said nobody could have thought. You know who could have thought and did think? Pep. And that's why Pep is Pep, and Arteta for now is still Arteta. For now. All right, enough Arsenal. How about some quick hits instead?
Let's go, Gab.
Now, Jules, the last time Atletico Madrid put 5 past Real Madrid in La Liga, man had not yet been to the moon. Alfredo Di Stefano had not yet been to Spain. Yeah. Elvis Presley was too young to drive. Yeah. Donald Trump was 4 years old.
Yeah.
Jules, I think this requires some love for El Cholo Simeone after this incredible 5-2 beatdown.
Yeah, absolutely. In a way, finally, we can say, he's used all those resources, all that talent that he had to the best effect.
It sounds like a bit like a backhanded compliment.
No, it's just I think he read this very well. He still knew that this Real Madrid team was there for the taking because they hadn't been that great despite the perfect start in the league, certainly. There was that right-hand side for Atletico, so the left-hand side for Real Madrid to exploit massively, which they did so well. And again, Giuliano and Llorente are just amazing players when they're in that kind of mood. And also everything they did worked. They scored early. Even when they conceded once and then twice, they stayed in the game, and then they just destroyed them. That second half performance from Atletico is one of the best I've seen this season. Any team, any league, any competition combined.
And by the way, shout out to Julian Alvarez as well. Obviously, there was rumors of John Happy being taken off. The dude scores a hat trick and then follows up with another tremendous performance.
Yeah, wonderful stuff. And obviously, disappointment for Real Madrid and Xabi Alonso, who says they will learn from this and come back stronger. Well, up next is a long flight to Kazakhstan to face Kairat Almaty in the Champions League. He will have plenty of time to think about what went wrong.
Yeah, and so much went wrong. And it's funny because people talk about the players let him down. They didn't have enough intensity, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But he's the coach. This is part of his job.
Completely.
And I refuse to believe the players that have won the Champions League and whatnot are in this situation in a derby against Atletico Madrid, and they say, oh, yeah, let's be less intense. Let's go and save ourselves for the long trip to Kazakhstan. I think Xabi Alonso has to bear some responsibility, and I think he would take the responsibility.
It's on him.
Starting Jude Bellingham, again,
wrong.
The guy's just back from injury.
We told him
not in that role.
Yeah.
Tchouaméni, I thought, really struggled, but it's not up to him because Valverde was a ghost in this game, terrible. Right? Vini did his disappearing act, although he was really, he served up a wonderful assist. Was really good at the beginning. You cannot go through the game with 2 shots on target. And while people are going to, complain about the defense, and obviously if it's Asensio and Carreras and Heisen, they're young and inexperienced. But by the same token, these are good players.
Hoysen's performance is the worst I've seen individually this season. It was just a disaster class. It was shockingly bad. Hoysen is a good player, but this is just, I promise you, I've never seen something like this season.
We're going to learn a lot about him and the character he has by how quickly he bounces back and how quickly Xabi Alonso is, feels ready and empowered to chuck him back out there. And for me personally, I would give him a whole week off. I would not send him out there against Kairat just in case the unthinkable happens.
Yeah.
Liverpool's lead is now just 2 points as they fall to Crystal Palace. Jules, Eddie Nketiah got the winner in the 97th minute. No mistake about this. This was fully deserved.
Yeah, completely. Palace should have been 4-0 up at halftime. They were that great in the first half, all over Liverpool, exploiting again all the weaknesses, the diagonals, the balls in behind, the fragility at times of Liverpool in possession, which is really strange. But McAllister, again, off it completely. Even Gravenberch, despite being one of Liverpool's best players so far this season. Konate, let's not even go there. The fullbacks, let's not even go there. There was just nothing at all for that first half. Second half was a little bit better, and there were some changes made by Liverpool. But overall, even a point would have been really a travesty from a Liverpool point of view, even a point they didn't deserve. So that late goal by Eddie Nketiah, obviously former Arsenal player,
former Chelsea player.
Yeah, and doing a big service to his former club. Was huge for them, and 18 games now without defeat in all competitions for Crystal Palace and Oliver Glasner, third in the table. Just incredible start this season.
Yeah, who needs Eberechi, right?
Yeah, the only team unbeaten in the Premier League so far. And Arne Slot appeared to blame, but didn't appear. Blame Jeremy Frimpong after the game for leaving his position early on the Nketiah goal, trying to go for the counter-attack very quickly. It's not often, Gab, that we hear managers like calling out their players in public. Unai Emery did it the other day with Harvey Elliott as well. It's becoming a bit of a trend.
Yeah, Arne Slot is Dutch, and Dutch people are supposedly outspoken and blunt, and he certainly is. I have no issue with it. You need to know what the player can take and what your relationship is. This isn't Houllier blaming David Ginola back in 1994. Sorry to bring up trauma from your youth.
I was thinking the same, yeah.
The reality is there's a lot of things wrong with this Liverpool team. I hate to say I told you so, but I told you so. Mark Gay, the fact that they didn't add a third central defender. Now with Leone, it's even more serious. Look, there's nothing wrong with Konate and Van Dijk. Konate had a stinker. They're going to need breaks during the season. Now you can't do that. Florian Wirtz, didn't we have that bet about how Florian Wirtz at some point was going to gravitate towards the wing to find balance? He looked for balance in this game. Not that it worked tremendously well.
Played as a force number 9, not really on the left in this game. But yeah, he's trying to change things.
Frimpong and Kirkes at the same time. That's a really, really tough sell. Yeah. So some of it's down to the recruitment. I think I'm not going to say nice things about the recruitment because the guy responsible for it is a nice guy I really like and respect. So I'm going to call it as I see it. Right now, the best you can say is these players, it's going to take time to gel. And all those results they got earlier in the season with the late goals, by the way, shout out to Federico Chiesa again. Yeah. There's an underlying symptom, which is the performances who weren't good. And that's why performances often matter more than results. Jules, we're not done. We have more quick hits.
Yes.
Had Manchester United won away to Brentford, it would have marked their first consecutive league victories since May of 2024. What is that, 17 months ago?
It was ridiculous.
You know who the manager was?
The
bald Dutchman.
Absolutely, yeah.
Instead, Igor Thiago scores twice. Bruno Fernandes misses a penalty, and they lose 3-1.
Yeah, they're a mess, an absolute mess. Defensively, it was shockingly bad. I don't even know what Harry Maguire starts, to be fair, at this stage.
You know, the way Igor Thiago does him on the first goal. It reminded me, it's what Thierry Henry used to do 25 years ago, right? You run horizontally, and then immediately you spin. I mean, you have to be able to deal with it.
It was embarrassing. So much of this United performance is embarrassing. Apart from the goal that they scored, Sesko, who has 3 goals at it, and I think it's quite helped by Kelleher, who then makes up for it by stopping the penalty from Bruno. But apart from that, United had nothing. Almost.
That's why the XG were so high. It was like we got 1.0 for that because he shot 3 times.
Yeah, 3 times in the 6-yard box before scoring, and then the penalty, which is a bad penalty again by Bruno, the second one that he misses already this year. I personally didn't think it was a red card for Collins no, because I think Mbeumo is going to hit the ball first time, so there's no control of the ball. What control of the ball you have if you don't control the ball?
So the argument is that Alan Shearer made on Match of the Day, it's my third Match of the Day reference today, is that the reason he doesn't have control of the ball is because Collins pulls him. Or is he just talking strikers fraternity?
I think Mbeumo is going to finish that first time, so he's not going to control the ball. So
but he can't finish it first time because Collins pulls him.
Yeah, but that's why it's the penalty. But it's not a red card because the red card is if the player is in control of the ball and then you kind of like
in a non-football move or whatever term you want to use.
Which that's why I think it's a little bit
pulling
tricky.
Your shoulder though is not a football move, and Bruno makes the penalty. Collins gets sent off. It's 2-1.
Yeah. I guess.
Alternate universe.
Maybe.
No.
But overall, it was still not good.
Terrible.
It was still not good. It was a horror show as well. Chelsea in the second half at home to Brighton. Gabi as the Trevor Chalobah gets sent off, and then they lose 3-1. Gab, you were there. How bad was it? I mean, the first half, 11v11, not so much. The second half, yeah.
At 11v11, it was fine. I think they had the measure of Brighton. I still don't like Enzo as number 10. There's no Cole Palmer. When Palmer's not there, you know what? At some point, figure out what you want to do. Play Tyreek George up front.
Yeah.
And put him behind. Play freaking Mark Yu. Put a body there.
Pedro as a 10. Yeah.
Enzo is not right in that position. No. And he scored. It's not like he didn't have one of his bad games. Like I often see. We had a Benoit Badiachil.
Yes, I saw that.
I thought he'd retired.
Yes, a lot of people did, I think.
I'm kidding, of course, Benoit. But it was a brain fart from Chalobah, who is probably their most reliable defender at this stage, since Levi Colwill can't walk. And then it all kind of falls apart from there. Chelsea, I think, also fortunate when what's his name gets kicked in the head.
Oh, now, yeah. Gusto on
Malo Gusto on Minte.
Yeah.
By the way, Yakuba Minte in the flesh
is quick, isn't it?
Absurd.
Yeah, really good.
I mean, he's like the cheat code on the computer.
Yeah.
But yeah, good performance from
and Danny Welbeck, everlasting Danny Welbeck.
The old guy. Yeah. Hansi Flick sends out most of the B team. No disrespect to Rooney Bargi, Wojciech Szczesny, and purported wunderkind Dro Fernandez.
Yeah.
And it's enough to come from behind and beat. That's what they had 2-1. Jules, what does this tell you?
Well, it tells me that there's a bit of depth still, even if, Dro Fernandez will need a bit of time in that midfield position to get to the level of the other ones.
He played one fourth division game, and that's it.
And that's it. And Rooney Bargi was a kind of wonder kid when he was younger in Denmark.
So was Lamine Yamal, and he's still young.
Lamine Yamal, who came back, by the way. And she just, in the half hour he was on the pitch, to destroy Real Sociedad. On his second touch, set up the second goal for Lewandowski with a great cross. There's a nutmeg where it's a flip-flap into a nutmeg. I mean, it's just unreal. After 2 weeks off, what he can still do coming back, which is scary for my PSG team, who obviously traveled to Barcelona on Wednesday night, which would be exceptional. But yeah, good win. I think in the first half, Real Sociedad had 14% of the ball. I don't even know how is that it's possible, 14% of the ball. But
Ramiro made some absolutely huge saves. I thought this was actually a lot more comfortable for Barcelona, despite the fact that at the end you can see that they hit the woodwork.
Yeah, Kubo,
whatever. But no,
it was really good. And Joan
really
Garcia's injury, though, is bad. And it's 6 weeks, I think, or 8 weeks. So that's a long one. So just hope Wojciech is in good form, Christian Pulisic is on the mark again as Milan hang on to beat Napoli 2-1 despite playing the last half hour with 10 men after Estupiñán got sent off. Gab, 4 wins and 4 clean sheets now for Max Allegri. And what did Antonio Conte have to say about Kevin De Bruyne looking grumpy?
Okay, I'll deal with that first. He took off De Bruyne and McTominay with 20 minutes ago, which seems really counterintuitive to me when you're chasing the game. De Bruyne looked like he was talking to himself. They asked Conte about it afterwards. And he said something like, well, I hope he was angry because we were losing the game. If he was angry about anything else, he's picking the wrong fight. So warning shots fired.
Yeah,
I don't think
definitely.
This De Bruyne is too mature for that.
To be expected.
I am not on the Milan bandwagon. Look, Pulisic, fantastic. Because you go 2-0 up, right? And I'm interested in, Pulisic made it 2-0, minute 31, right?
Yeah.
Between minute 31 and when Estupiñán, living up to his last name, stupidly gets sent off. It's 11v11.
Yeah.
In that time period, Milan did virtually nothing. And you're 2-0 up at home.
Yeah, but that's Allegri still. So
but it's not the way you're going to get better. And people are like, oh, look, Rabiot. Oh, look, they're so balanced. Oh, Modric.
Rabiot was good.
That's fine, but it's so negative. I did 0.00 XG in the second half.
Yeah.
And it wasn't 10v11 for the entire second half. I think you play this way, you can only get so far. Mark my words.
Yeah, maybe. And Magic Mike was amazing. Magic Mike made some big saves.
Magic Mike saved their backside. David Neres hit the post even at the end. I mean, come on. Plenty of rotation for Paris Saint-Germain too in the 2-0 win over Auxerre. The backup center backs, Lucas Beraldo and Ilya Zabarny, get it done, Jules. But now y'all are fretting on Krejcik, Kvaratskhelia, and Vitinha. Both of them had to come off early. They're basically the only two starters who start, and are they going to be fine?
I don't know. So thank you to the Club World Cup to start with.
Oh, yeah, keep blaming everything on the
Thank
Club
you,
World Cup.
FIFA, and thank you,
Yes,
Gianni, Infantino. So for Vitinha, it was a weird one because he set up the goal with a wonderful pass. You talked about the Zubimendi pass earlier. It's kind of a similar one in a way. Doesn't look injured at all. Then comes off after 35 minutes, and I'm like, was this planned in a way? Once you break the deadlock against a team like Auxerre, who play with everybody behind the ball and everybody in their box, and then you won it up, and you know now that you're going to be okay, or not. It took him off. It should be fine for Barcelona. Kvaratskhelia, we're not sure. It was more behind his for his hamstring. We see, but yeah, it's not good for sure. And it was way back on Friday, but Bayern destroyed Werder Bremen 4-0. Gab, I wanted to ask you about Tom Bishop in midfield, rare appearance, but we have to talk about Harry Kane first.
Well, Bischoff is a boss. I'll deal with him first.
Yeah.
Bischoff, Kimmich, you're sorted, and then Pavlovic to come in. Honestly, the kid's for real. Harry Kane, 2 more goals, 100 goals in 104 games, eclipsing Cristiano Ronaldo,
and
accepting that Erling Haaland fella. I don't know what to say. The guy, like a fine wine. Burnley hanging there well into the second half against Manchester City before getting trounced 5-1, 2 own goals and 2 strikes by the cheat code, otherwise known as Holland Jules.
Yeah, he was great again. Amazing start of the season from him. And then you're right, until the 60th, 65th minute, it was still 1-1, and it was not that convincing, apart from Jeremy Doku again for City. In the end, they got it done, but there's a lot more work to do. 3 draws in a row, for Igor Tudor and Juventus, Gab. Juan Cabal saves them 12 minutes from time.
So they were playing against Atalanta. I don't think they played badly at all. Agree. And yet Tudor's getting stick because some Juve fans can only think about results. I think one issue he has, though, is, and I'm just reminded how poorly constructed this team is. You have 3 center forwards, Jonathan David, Vlahovic, and Lois Openda. He seems to be intent on rotating them. Dude, play one of them behind alongside Kenan Yildiz, and you're sorted. And all you got to worry then about is your back 3 in your midfield. Graham Potter has been sacked by West Ham, and Nuno Espirito Santo is now in charge, beginning with tonight's game away to Everton as we record this on a Monday morning. Jules, I think we all saw this coming, but is it the right choice?
To sack Graham Potter, yeah, he's the worst manager in the league with Ruben Amorim, the worst win percentage. Is Nuno the right guy to replace him? I mean, this was in the pipeline. They've been talking for a while. Would
he have been your choice to replace him?
No, although what I would say, because I just don't really rate Nuno. It's not my cup of tea. But the players at West Ham suit him, I think, and will suit his style for sure. I think Bowen, Somerville, Paqueta, to play like Forest, he's going to try to do at West Ham what he did at Forest. I think that could work for him there, for sure. And the discipline certainly that was not there with Graham Potter, because that was a shambles and a mess. And by the way, don't know how Baroness Brady feels about her friend Graham Potter being sacked, but at some point she could not protect him so much anymore. So because it was very much her choice, and somebody else's choice.
If you go down the Potter route, you have to commit for a long period of time, and you may not get results. And obviously they weren't ready to do that.
No. David
Sullivan, it still looks like a freak show up in the stands with his big coat.
Yeah.
Karen Brady, to me, belongs in the same boat, but whatever. Can Nuno succeed without the help of Mr. Marinakis? I don't think so.
I think it would be better than Potter anyway. Certainly in terms of results. The style of football probably won't be, but the results will be.
Even though Mr. Marinakis isn't there.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, Marinakis and
David Sullivan.
Yeah, exactly.
Who would you rather go on holiday with?
I don't know,
Who'd
but
be more fun?
US President Donald Trump says the World Cup games, that comes obviously in the summer, could be moved around if host cities are deemed unsafe, Gav.
Yeah, so, sometimes these things come out, and it was in the context of him sending National Guard and federal troops into certain cities. He says, if any city we think is going to be even a little bit dangerous for the World Cup, because we're playing in so many cities, we won't allow it. We'll move it around a little bit, but I hope that's not going to happen. I have no idea what the situation is going to be like in the summer. Obviously, he's a president, it's his country. I think in any World Cup, if there is a security situation, that takes precedence even over FIFA. But I'll tell you this, if you move a World Cup games out of a World Cup, there's going to be massive financial losses and massive compensation, because there's a lot of planning that goes into this.
Especially
hotels
after the draw
and fan fests after the draw. Yeah. It's going to affect the teams. It's going to have far-ranging consequences. It's Jean Paligna to the rescue. Yes, really. For Tottenham at home to Wolves as he gets the equalizer deep in injury time against a team that had lost, every game this season?
Yeah, that's right.
Jules, what did you make of it?
I don't think that was pretty from Spurs at all. I mean, they got lucky. It's a great finish by Paligna. But if they need Paligna to score kind of a really difficult goal to get a point against Wolves at home, it's tough. It would be tough as well. I just think it's what we said already earlier in the season, Gab, in previous shows. Defensively, without the ball, you can set them up. He's got people Thomas Frank has people who fit what he wants to do out of possession, whether it's the running game and pressing or the defensive structure with the ball, as we saw against Bournemouth at home, as we saw against Villarreal at home, as we saw against Wolves at home. It's difficult, and they lack creativity. They don't really know what to do with the ball, and it's tough.
I'm not sure he's accustomed or to trusting and getting the best out of technically gifted players. I don't want to be.
He will, but it takes time.
Wait, who did he have at Spurs? He had Damsgaard, a bit of Eriksson. He was there a little bit for Ollie Watkins.
No, but Mbomo is very good technically.
I don't know. He's not Xavi Simons. He's not the guy
very
they
good
have.
Technically. I just think it's hard to put something together with the ball, harder than without the ball.
And by the way, Vitor Pereira, much better coach than his record, although I wasn't expecting him to change the whole team.
Yeah, no. Sticking with Spurs, they issued a statement saying that they turned down an informal bid from a former DJ named Brooklyn Eric. Sorry, Gab. What's this about?
Don't apologize to me. Apologize to him. I don't know. The name seemed made up. He doesn't have a Wikipedia page. Doesn't have much of a footprint. Supposedly, he represented a group of 12 of his friends who were ready to spend 4.5 billion pounds. Now, okay, I say this with the greatest respect. 4.5 billion pounds is 1.5 times what what Fenway valued Liverpool at. Yeah. It's about twice what Chelsea was sold for, 3 years ago? And even then, everybody said this valuation's way too high.
Yeah.
It's nearly what Manchester United was valued at.
Yeah. There's no way you turn down that money if it's on the table, if you're the Lewis family. Impossible.
If you think it's a serious bid. No.
It's a serious bid.
And by the way, they had to issue a statement because of the way takeover rules work in the UK, and they said it was an informal inquiry. I don't know. I'm actually thinking of ringing up Vinay this afternoon and just as a test and saying hey, I have 10 friends of mine, all of whom are billionaires. They're all kicking in $1 billion. Can we talk?
Can we make an offer?
Yeah. See what he says. Wild stuff in Mönchengladbach, Jules. Eintracht Frankfurt goes 6-0 up 2 minutes after the break, and they end up conceding 4 times in the second half.
Well, quite an incredible game, like a tennis score, obviously, 6-4. First set to Frankfurt. I've never seen the start of a game like that. I think they were 3-0 up after 15 minutes, 4 after 20. It's ridiculous. And Frankfurt are a good team. I think Can Uzun is going to go very, very far. He's a wonderful talent. The next one they will sell in the kind of Ekitike, Marmouche kind of money. Good for them. But Gladbach, who changed managers already, seemed to go a little bit better last week. Just exploding in that first half.
4 goals in the last 20 minutes from Borussia Mönchengladbach. Dino Topmuller not happy.
But you can understand that.
No, there's nothing to understand. These guys conceded 4 goals to freaking St. Pauli last weekend.
Yeah.
At home.
I know.
And now they concede 4 goals again?
Yeah, but because it was 6-0 up with 15 minutes to go.
I honestly, if maybe I'm too old school for this. If I'm Dino Topmuller, double training sessions all week, you sleep at the training ground. Honestly, this is an embarrassment. And this really should be a worry. And you need to go to your leaders like Robin Koch. Yeah, great. You scored 2 goals. You need to sort these people out.
Lautaro Martinez shines and Francesco Pio Esposito scores at Inter win away to Cagliari 2-0. All well for Christian Kivu now?
All better for Christian Kivu.
Better. I mean, he said, nobody creates more than us.
He's right. Then people are saying, oh, look, you're copying Simone Inzaghi. He'd be stupid not to. Simone Inzaghi was really, really, really good. And it's not like Simone Inzaghi was fired. Simone Inzaghi walked out to chase the money in Saudi Arabia. So, look, Inter obviously much better when they have fit and happy Lautaro back and scores. Pio Esposito it's interesting. We talked about, is he the new Dzeko? Let's take it easy with that one. But he is very big and he's technically gifted and he's strong.
And the weekend where him and Kamada score, both of them the same weekend, is good for
Italian football. Yeah, look, I think for me, I think he's developing more trust. He's talked about how he's known Esposito since he was 13 years old, because he, of course, previously was a part of the youth team, or he worked in Inter's academy. I like the fact that between Lautaro, Thuram, who is always reliable, rarely has a bad game, and Esposito, I think you can actually now start thinking about actually rotating a little bit up front, which is good. Don't look now, but Borussia Dortmund haven't actually lost a domestic game in more than 6 months. In fact, I think the only teams that have beaten them in the last 6 months are Real Madrid and Barcelona, which is pretty good.
That's pretty good.
They beat Mainz on the road 2-0. They remain 2 points behind Bayern. Are they actually getting their stuff together?
And Guerra assisted on the bench for this game. I guess was rested for the Champions League in midweek, probably. They probably didn't need him either. They still had a competitive team. Adeyemi scored again, get a bit in that consistency. They were very good. Defensively, offensively, they created chances. Julian Brandt when Julian Brandt is in a good day, the problem is that you never know when it's a good day. They create, so they were good. And obviously, they are somehow still keeping in touch with Bayern, the 2 points behind. I don't think they're good enough to really push them all the way until late in the season. But for now, it's the start of the season that you wanted. And to be fair, I think the top 5 in the Bundesliga are your top 5 best teams, right? So it's for the season. So it's where they should be. And the big boys are there, but everybody's chasing Bayern. Roma defeat Verona 2-0 and they join top of the table. Gab, is Gasperini making his mark?
No, because it doesn't look like anything like a Gasperini team. Now, his early Atalanta teams didn't necessarily look like Gasperini teams either, so we can give him props there. Dovbyk scored, which is nice because he's been criticized. He scored early, sent them on their way. But, guys, Milas Vilar, who I think has got to be one of the top 7, 8 keepers in Europe, he's certainly on his way to being one of the very best. He made some huge saves. Gift Orban, remember him?
Exactly.
He should have scored. He should have done better.
Score,
and the XG was 0.94 to 1.38 against Verona, who are not a good club, or rather, they're certainly not a big club.
Not big club.
So he has a lot to work on. Tyler Morton has a better weekend than his parent club, Jules, as he scores early to give Lyon a 1-0 win over Lille. I only got the highlights, and from what I could tell, I don't think they have an actual center forward. Is this more magic from Fonseca, who's still suspended? No, is this all the credit of John Textor and Textor time, even though he's supposedly not involved with the club?
No, Fonseca is not suspended anymore. He's back on the bench.
Is he?
Yeah. He's back on the bench now. That's his second game, I think.
So is it John Textor?
It's not John Textor. I mean, Tyler Morton has been a big thing since signing permanently from Liverpool. They decided not to play with the centre forward because they have one on the bench in Satriano, but they decided again to have kind of Tolisso as the false 9.
Tolisso, the midfielder.
Yeah. So they play like that, which works
Who's
for
the
them.
young guy that was with him?
Karim Mera, one of the academy, like bright.
He's really young, but he's not a forward either.
No. He's kind of an attacking midfielder. But yeah, they have that fluidity. They won this game. This is a miracle, though. It's a smash and grab, massive. They didn't deserve to win this game at all. The referee was well dodgy. VAR didn't really work. I think Lille on another day could easily or should have scored 2 goals. Grafe in goal was great. But yeah, this is a lucky win from Lyon. But it's a win that counts. They're top of the table with PSG, and they've had a great start of the season. So well done to them.
I guess life has been very good to the very handsome Olivier Giroud. So once in a while, you have to accept these setbacks.
You're right. For the first time in 40 years, the Berlusconi family is officially out of football, Gab. They've sold their controlling stake in Monza to Beckett Lane.
Yeah, Beckett Lane, which sounds like something completely made up. It sounds like, let me come up with a name that
law firm?
Sounds like a law firm or a hedge
finance.
fund.
Yeah.
No, apparently the people behind it are real people. One is Brandon Berger, who I've actually seen in 3D, so I know he's a real person. He had a stint at Chelsea. His business partner, Lauren Crampsey, apparently as well. The interesting theory isn't these guys, they buy into Monza, say they'll be, got big plans, big catchment area, who knows what they can do. What I think is interesting is the Berlusconi family are now entirely out. Obviously, he's passed.
Yeah.
The kids have decided to move on.
Yeah.
It is kind of funny because people pointed out, oh, their final act, they got Monza back into Serie A. Yeah, and then they got them relegated and left a pile of debt behind too. But hey, that's a whole other issue. Sergio Busquets has announced his retirement from football at the end of the season. Jules, he's 37. Put his career in context for us.
I think one of the greatest midfielders certainly in recent years, in his era. Yes, he played with Iniesta and Xavi, which is a massive help for everybody. But you could also say that them two probably wouldn't have shown as much without Busquets behind and all that composure, the calm, the intelligence, a bit of vice at times, the technical ability for such a tall, lanky guy. Pretty incredible. The vision, obviously, the scanning. I think he kind of changed away in a way that kind of position. Certainly when you wanted to have a lot of the ball and play a lot compared to a Makelele type, for example. So incredible. Won everything. Played with Messi for most of his career still now. Let's hope that he finishes on a high with something with Inter Miami, because I think he deserves it. He's been a great servant to the game, obviously, a great servant to Barcelona and now to MLS.
Yeah, younger people think Rodri, but like a mean, nasty, dirty Rodri when necessary.
Yeah. Another retirement, Gab, and one for you especially, one of your favorite, Bas Dost.
That's right, Bas Dost.
I thought he retired a long time ago, to be fair.
Well, it's a sad story behind it. Obviously, he had a heart attack. He was diagnosed with myocarditis. They told him, work hard and you can come back. And then eventually, the doctor said, look, the risks are just too hard. And he decided to go away. He gave a very emotional interview to, I think it was Algemene Dagblad in Holland, where he said, leaving the sport he loves is a slap in the face. It's tough. He had a long and fruitful.
What did you like about him? Why is he such a cult hero for you?
Everything. His name, the fact that he's bigger than everybody else, the fact that he scores a goal a game at whatever level you put him at.
Weghorst is a similar guy and you never liked him. So why Bas and not
vote Weghorst? Is not, but vote Weghorst spent too much time in Germany for my liking. The Under-20 World Cup is underway in Chile, Jules. I know you're staying up all night to watch.
Yes.
We had a historic moment with the first use of football video support. And remind people what it is.
Yeah, so each team has one...
challenge.
Challenge, that's what I was going to say, attempt. But challenge to challenge the referees, or a bit like you could do in the NBA, for example, where you can have, when you think that something went against you, you can ask for that. So Ukraine against South Korea. In that game, we had one of each, by the way.
Yep.
The two coaches who used it. One didn't work. One worked. I thought he worked well. To be fair, again, I didn't see the whole game live. I only saw the highlights. But I thought he worked well. I don't think he changes the momentum of the game, the dynamic of it. I thought it went quite quickly.
Yeah.
Which might not be the case every time, but in this case...
It's VAR light, right? Yeah. This is the whole idea. You don't have a whole crew of people. You don't have 20 million cameras.
Yeah.
It's basically you see it in real time. Referee trots over, looks at the replays, and it's obvious to him he changes his mind or he doesn't. And they use this system, of course, in the lower leagues across Europe or in those countries that don't want to spend on a full-on VAR system.
And the interesting thing I was just going to say, I made a note somewhere. There's a few sons of who will be playing in this Under-20 World Cup. So Zinedine Zidane's son.
Which
Elias,
one? And
the
little one.
Yeah, the little one. He's playing with France. Hang on, where did I put it? I don't want. This is horrible. But I had it somewhere.
We can have a Nepo baby Under-20 corner in the next show.
So Danny, do you remember Danny Nguesson, who played for Millwall, I think, who played for a few English clubs? Gillian, his son, who plays for Saint-Etienne, who's a baller, wonder kid, made his debut.
Even though he has a girl's name?
At 16 in Ligue 1. He's also there with France. There's somebody else. There's a few South American sons of who their fathers played. Oh, I wanted to find it for you, Gab.
Jules, we'll have a little Nepo baby special.
Yes, let's do that. I will find it by then. The Times report that UEFA are considering... Let me do that again. The Times report that UEFA are considering suspending the Israeli FA given the situation in Gaza. This comes after a request from the Turkish FA, the Spanish government, and the United Nations Commission asking sporting bodies to not turn a blind eye, Gab.
Yeah, so obviously this is quite a controversial topic, and there could be, UEFA basically said there's nothing scheduled, but there could be an executive committee this week, and if there is enough support, and if they decide to have this meeting this week, then Israel could be suspended. Obviously, this would have an impact on Maccabi Tel Aviv, who are playing in the Europa League, and on Israel, who are trying to qualify for the World Cup, and who actually have two very tough games coming up against the top two teams in the group, Norway in Oslo on October 11th, and Italy in Udine on October 14th. There are a ton of layers to this, Jules. There's obviously a lot of popular sentiment about this. There have been resolutions presented to FIFA, and you can say it's the FIFA World Cup. Why don't FIFA handle this? FIFA might say, well, we are handling it. We made a special commission to deal with this, a special working group. That was a long time ago, and they haven't really produced anything. There's a whole political element, of course, as well. There's a World Cup in the United States in 2026. I think it would be very hard for Israel to qualify on the pitch at this stage anyway.
Yeah.
But obviously, the current U.S. government, a strong supporter of the current Israeli government right now, and State Department spokesman coming out and saying they're going to do, they're going to stop any effort to kick Israel out of the World Cup. So, if you were really cynical, and somebody put this to me, you might also say, hey, Gianni Infantino's up for re-election, and right now he's so closely aligned, by necessity perhaps, with the U.S. and Israel. If somebody else were to challenge him, they could maybe get the support of much of the rest of the world that certainly wants a ceasefire. And they could use this, and this could be politically motivated on the part of UEFA. I personally don't necessarily believe that. But it's an ugly situation, and the U.S. president said a couple days ago that they were close to a ceasefire. Let's hope that he's right. Maple the Moose, Zayu the Jaguar, and Clutch the Bald Eagle. Jules, who are these guys?
They're the mascots of the 2026 World Cup. Gabi, Maple the Moose, obviously from Canada.
It's maple syrup.
Yeah, maple syrup. Zayu from Mexico, and the eagle from the USA. I mean,
the bald eagle, not a normal
bald eagle. Sorry, you're right. They're quite cute, to be fair. The film that was released to officially unveil them as the mascots were actually pretty cool. I mean, my kids love, certainly the two youngest ones, loved it. I know I'm going to bring back a little teddy of Maple, one of Zayu, one of Clutch, obviously next summer. But I think this is cool. And also, I love, before we have the draw, for every World Cup is the same, you have the unveiling of the mascot. 3 in this case, because there's 3 countries. And I just love that, because it feels like it kicks off the World Cup,
Yeah, when it comes to World Cup mascots, some are more forgettable. I think in Qatar, we had a ghost of some kind. Obviously, I think probably for me, the ones that stand out over the years were Zakumi in South Africa.
Yeah.
And obviously, I think it was Naranjito in 1982.
Yeah. In Spain, yeah. Futix, did you like Futix in 1998?
No, I prefer the 1990.
The 1990.
The 1990
it
looked like something that
terrible.
Okay, you think it was terrible? It's funny because I would have said this is something that I would have thought France might have produced, because it is abstract. It's entirely conceptual. But we agree, the absolute worst one, 2006 World Cup.
Oh, yeah.
The weird bear who wasn't wearing any trousers with the little creepy ball.
Yeah. Germans can't do mascots.
Way too much subtext on that.
I found my Andrei Shevchenko's son, Christian, is playing for Ukraine in the Under-20 World Cup. Do you remember Kevin Kurani?
Of course.
His son plays for Panama, which is, I believe, either his mum or his nan's country. So, yeah, that's to go with my list of Zidane. There's Olmeta as well. There's Gusev. There's Nguessan. All of that. So watch the Under-20 World Cup.
By the way, Andrei Shevchenko's wife is American, so I'm presuming Christian Shevchenko's mom could be eligible for the United States.
Yeah, very much. Absolutely. The Afghan women's team is back together and will play against the UAE, Chad, and Libya at the end of this month in Dubai. Gab, why is this significant?
So I think this is significant on several levels, and I think this is actually a bit of an underreported story. Obviously, the Taliban came to power in Afghanistan. They banned women from many spheres of public life, including obviously football. This Afghan women's team is made up of those refugees who were able to get out of the country. There are other Afghanistan women footballers who are still in Afghanistan, and obviously they don't get to play. That's why FIFA called it the Afghan refugee team. They do not get to play in World Cup qualifying because of this sticky situation. They're not part of the Afghanistan FA. And I think some people would, rightly so, raised the question. FAs, to get the funding from FIFA, are required to field women's teams.
Mm-hmm.
Afghanistan obviously does not.
Yeah.
Why are they not being kicked out? Or why are they not being taken to task for it? It's a complicated world out there. I'm just happy that these women get to continue playing football, even if it is, just a friendly tournament in Dubai.